Now, the European Union has urged Myanmar to protect free speech amid a crackdown on media in the East Asian nation. In a statement, the EU demanded that Myanmar protect journalists from intimidation, arrest, or prosecution. It said that the arrest and prosecution of journalists had reached a worrying number in recent months. The statement added that the freedom of opinion and expression is a human right guaranteed to all. Just last week, Myanmar had 3 reporters accusing them of communicating with an armed group. Myanmar's de facto leader, Aung San Suu Kyi, has come under sustained international criticism for what many perceive as her failure to speak out about grave human rights violations by the military. Let's speak to Tony Gosling. He's an investigative journalist and he joins us via Skype from Bristol. Many thanks for joining us here on Press TV, Mr. Gosling. Now, as a journalist, when other colleagues are arrested or detained for quote-unquote communicating with an armed group, what does that mean to you?
Well, the Committee to Protect Journalists, the International Federation of Journalists, get rather excited about such things, and in fact they're constantly issuing statements around the world, in countries like Mexico, where this kind of thing is commonplace with drug gangs. But we were promised different, weren't we, in Myanmar, former Burma. These 3 latest journalists and an editor have been arrested simply for reporting. Now, the total is around about 71 journalists over the last few years have been arrested in Myanmar, and the fact is that since Aung San Suu Kyi came to power, that actually the rate of arrests has increased, not decreased. So, and also, let's look at the wider picture of human rights and access to the country, because we know that there is genocide going on there. The United Nations team just last week had its visas refused by the government. That's her, by the way, for investigating ethnic cleansing in Myanmar. This ethnic cleansing is going on. So I think we just have to take a look at the way that Aung San Suu Kyi has been portrayed in the Western media over the last, well, probably 15 years as the saviour of the country, and compare to the way that somebody like Colonel Gaddafi in Libya was portrayed as the person who was the evil Gaddafi. Now, of course, we've got complete chaos in Libya, and we've got tens of thousands weekly of migrants and refugees coming from Libya into Europe, causing absolute chaos. So the media is really culpable here, having built up Aung San Suu Kyi into this a marvellous figure. And actually, all that's happening now is that they're turning their eyes away from what's going on under her, which is horrific over there.
Right. It's not just about Aung San Suu Kyi, but if you look, as you mentioned, at the whole picture, there is that portrayal by the media of how Myanmar is finally opening up to democracy, to transparency, but that's not really the case, is it?
No, it sounds like you've been buying the Bill Gates Foundation spin, because they've been advertising Myanmar as a tourist destination, saying what a great place it is to go, turning away a blind eye completely to this genocide of the Rohingyas. By the way, around about 1.5 million Rohingyas have been being attacked there simply for what they believe, for their views, since 2011. And also tens of thousands have been killed and abducted. So we've got this ongoing sore. You know, I have to say, look, compare it to somewhere like Palestine, former British colony like Burma was, again, where Muslims are being persecuted, killed and abducted. You have to understand, though, that there was 50 years of military dictatorship, roughly 50 years over in Burma, and these abuses by the army now, I think, are actually starting to increase. We've also seen a recent report where they're saying that the human slavery also is increasing in the area, and there's what the American Holocaust Memorial Museum 2 years ago issued what they call a global genocide warning. Funnily enough, we see hardly anything about this genocide in the Western press, and it looks as if when people, even within Myanmar, try and report the truth about what's going on, in other words, talk to both sides rather than just give the military line, they find themselves in jail. And Right. It would be nice to see a little bit more of a protest coming from the so-called democracies in this part of the world.
All right, that's Tony Gosling, investigative journalist, joining us via Skype from Bristol. Mr. Gosling, it's always great having you with us here on Press TV.